Patrick Mahomes is a more talented quarterback than Peyton Manning.
Patrick Mahomes has never beaten anybody in the playoffs that has a Super Bowl ring.
He's won 17 playoff games versus only 4 losses.
Chiefs actually do get favorable calls in the playoffs.
You're minimizing them by just bringing up referees.
Mahomes is more reliant on Andy Reid than Andy Reid is relying on Mahomes.
They have not lost in the divisional round. They have not missed the playoffs while the Patriots have.
Kurt Warner's season is the best of all time, barring none.
Tom Brady has had more help defensively than Patrick Mahomes has in his career. My first claim is Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
So today, as of today, Patrick Mahomes is not the best quarterback in the NFL. Let's get that straight. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and I mean, this season, if we really want to talk about it, Matthew Stafford has been better than him. Sam Darnold has been better than Patrick Mahomes. Just this season, Drake May, yeah, I mean, of course, we got the Patriots fans in the house. There we go. So, anyways, this year, no, Patrick Mahomes is not. And statistically, he's not even close to these guys. He's had a good season relative to the last few years of Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, which is saying something because not hitting 4,000 over the last few years is, can't call yourself the best quarterback in the NFL in the regular season at this point. So right now, no, he's not even close to those guys. Statistically, it's just not close.
What's your criteria? Because you're all over the place. Number one, you start off with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, who combined have had multiple seasons of excellence. Then you put in Sam Darnold, who just broke out onto the scene and revived his career. And then you add in Drake May, who this is his first real breakout year. So what's your criteria for who the best quarterback in the NFL is? Is it off of just one season? Is it off of multiple seasons? What is it?
This season, Patrick Mahomes is not the best quarterback in the NFL. Just simply put.
So based on this season, how I evaluate who the best quarterback is I take a combination of what they've done in their careers, and I ask myself this simple question. If a playoff game was played today, what quarterback do I want playing that playoff game?
Matthew
You're
Stafford.
telling me, do you want Sam Darnold playing that playoff game over Patrick Mahomes?
No,
That's
Matthew
one
Stafford.
of the names you mentioned. You want Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
What did he do last year? He lost in the playoffs.
He lost in the
divisional
playoffs
round.
to what team?
To the Philadelphia Eagles.
And
what about
was
the year
score of
before?
What was the score of that game?
It was a close score, but the year before
What
that,
was the
who
score
did he
of the
lose?
Eagles Super
He
Bowl?
lost in the wild card to the Detroit Lions. Patrick Mahomes, in the last couple of seasons, 2024, he makes the Super Bowl, he loses in it. That's a floor for him. You're talking about Matthew Stafford, who's lost in the divisional round, in the wild card round, who hasn't been back to the Super Bowl since 2021. And you're trying to talk about him with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes in 2022 won the Super Bowl, won MVP. In 2023, he was first in QBR in the playoffs. And in 2024, he made the Super Bowl. And by the way, he led in 2024 in game-winning drives. Right now, he's fourth in QBR. He's second in passing yards. And the Chiefs have not had a full, healthy roster of the offensive supporting cast. Rasheed Rice just came back. So you're telling me that Sam Darnold, Matthew Stafford, you'd rather him over Patrick Mahomes. That's what you're telling me.
Matthew Stafford went to Philadelphia, went to the Link last year, and almost beat the Eagles that beat the absolute brakes.
He almost did.
Doesn't
He didn't
matter.
beat them.
Came down to one
It does
play.
matter.
What did
Did he
Patrick
win or
Mahomes
did
do?
he lose?
What did Patrick Mahomes
Did
do,
he
though,
win or
Joel?
did he lose?
What did Patrick Mahomes do in the Super
But
Bowl against those same Eagles?
Did he played
I'm
poorly?
asking you a question.
But you cannot ignore the pathway to get to the Super Bowl.
He got outplayed
to the
by
Super Bowl.
Jalen Hurts in that game. He got outplayed by Jalen Hurts in that game.
Because
Point blank,
the
period.
defense was awesome. Patrick Mahomes had his worst game in the most important game in the Super Bowl, but that is just one blemish of a pretty flawless career that he's had. You just mentioned, you started off with saying that right now this season you take Sam Darnold over Patrick Mahomes. That was wrong. You just completely ignore Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So you're telling me you take Matthew Stafford over all those quarterbacks as well, without a doubt.
Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFL. Going into the playoffs, I will take Matthew Stafford over anybody. I just saw it last year against the Eagles. He should have been in the Super Bowl. He wasn't. But guess what? He played those Eagles, those same Eagles, as I just said before, that made Patrick Mahomes look like an absolute embarrassment and almost beat them. Better than anyone in the snow. Simple as that.
Yeah. So what would he have to do to you for him to not be the best quarterback?
So the question is, what would other quarterbacks have to do? Mahomes is still playing at a very high level. Therefore, other quarterbacks have to show not only this excellence in a regular season, which they have, but they have to show the excellence in the playoffs. Okay. Josh Allen is the closest to Patrick Mahomes because I believe he is a better playoff performer than someone like Lamar Jackson, who has more turnovers and touchdowns in the playoffs. But Josh Allen in the playoffs has gotten outperformed by Patrick Mahomes. It's been marginally, but he has gotten outperformed. In the AFC Championship game, he lost to Mahomes. In the divisional round, at home as a favorite in 2023, he lost to Patrick Mahomes. So Josh Allen has to prove that he can do what Mahomes has already done 3 times, and that's be the driving force of a championship winning team, which he hasn't. And with Lamar Jackson, he hasn't shown he could do it in the playoffs, not only win, but perform at a consistently high level.
Okay, so to me, there's a fundamental difference between how we define who the best quarterback is right now, because to me, I'm still valuing these recent seasons a little bit more than, the championships that he's won in prior years. Last 2 years, under 30 passing touchdowns. Last 2 years, double-digit interceptions. These are numbers that you don't see from guys that you say are the best quarterback in the NFL. So to me, I look at this year, I look at so many guys outperforming him. I look at Matthew Stafford, who to me is the MVP favorite right now. My buddy over here was defending him as the guy that he would rather have right now, which I totally get. I mean, you bring up championship pedigree, leading a team to a championship. He's done that. And then statistically, Lamar Jackson's been hurt, but the numbers per game are still there. Josh Allen, his numbers are still very good. Mahomes, to me, has locked down this pedestal of everybody calling him the best quarterback in the league, and there's this sense that he can do no wrong. I hate that. I hate that there's no way in a lot of people's minds, because of the resume he's built up, that he can take a step down. Because I think he's taken a step down from the 50 touchdowns he had in his first real year, the elite seasons, with Tyreek Hill and the 30-plus passing touchdowns. He's taken a clear step back. He's still been able to finish the job a few times, to his credit, to the Chiefs' credit. Steve Spagnuolo is an absolute monster. I want the defense to get credit as well. More credit. And then you brought up in other arguments the supporting cast that Mahomes has had. First of all, he took out Rashee Rice himself. I mean, circumstantially, but he took him out himself. But Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson do not have good supporting casts either. Yes, Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers is a good player. Mark Andrews is a good player.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry's a great player.
He's a
obviously.
Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer. Absolutely.
Do the Bills have a better offensive line than the Chiefs?
They do.
Do the Bills have a better running back than the Chiefs?
They do.
Did you have to think about that, or was that an obvious
I'm looking at receiving corps.
We're talking about James Cook.
I understand. Yes, they absolutely
receiving
do.
corps. Now with Rashee Rice back, okay, the Chiefs have a better receiving corps. Patrick Mahomes' numbers this year have been better than Josh Allen's. From what you're saying, if you're telling me right now, well, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid is breaking out this year. Dalton Kincaid is probably just as good as Kelsey right now. Let's just be honest here. He
Last
is.
couple seasons, but sure.
The driving force of the Bills' offense has been their offensive line and their run game. James Cook is an all-pro level player. So when you're telling me about who the best quarterback is in the NFL right now, you've thrown out a lot of names. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all these guys. But the one that sticks out to me the most is Matthew Stafford, because you're saying he's statistically performing the best. So therefore, you think Drake May is the second best quarterback in the NFL right now, over Josh Allen, over Lamar Jackson, over Patrick Mahomes. You're just valuing this season to determine your claim of who the best is?
Yes. It's about is, not was.
And Matthew Stafford last year didn't have a passer rating above 100. Matthew Stafford last year, you look at his statistics, he threw double-digit interceptions as well. Matthew Stafford has been just as a volatile statistical quarterback as Patrick Mahomes, yet you give him the grace, but you don't give a grace to a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Yes, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, a great offensive line, Kyron Williams. Are you going to sit here and tell me with a serious face that Matthew Stafford does not have, by far and away, a better supporting cast than Patrick Mahomes? And do you think that supporting cast drives production and statistics? Statistics can favor a player if they have a better supporting cast.
I would agree statistics can favor a player if they have a better supporting cast.
And Stafford has a better supporting cast. So even though he has better statistics, it's also due to him having a better supporting cast.
I can agree with that. I still would rather take Matthew Stafford this season.
Did you see the MVP voting last year?
I did see it.
Where was Patrick Mahomes in the top 2?
He wasn't in the top 2.
So who won the MVP last year?
It was Josh Allen.
And people thought, okay, maybe Josh Allen did deserve it, but who were people like, oh, maybe this guy really deserved it, but there was voter fatigue?
It was Lamar Jackson.
So why wasn't anyone like, oh, there's voter fatigue for Patrick Mahomes?
Because Patrick Mahomes had to carry a subpar offensive supporting cast last year. Do you want to know what left tackle percentage allowed the most pressures in the NFL last year? It was the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Rashee Rice gets hurt. Hollywood Brown gets hurt. Travis Kelce, is he washed or is he great again? What do you think? Was he washed last year? I think he was washed last year. Patrick Mahomes, a bad offensive line, a mid-tier of supporting cast. He still went 15-2 and led the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives while being the best third-down quarterback in the NFL. What you just told me, based on last year, Lamar Jackson almost winning MVP and Josh Allen winning MVP, those two quarterbacks are possibly better than Patrick Mahomes. As a Patriots fan yourself, was Tom Brady the best quarterback in the NFL every year that he played? Would you still consider him the best?
Yes.
But he wasn't the best statistical quarterback every year that he played.
Because he had Kimbrel Tompkins.
Peyton Manning had more MVPs than Tom Brady, so you're telling me Peyton Manning is a better quarterback than Tom Brady?
Well, no, we're talking about who. No, hold up. We're talking about who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Did Peyton Manning have years where he was better than Tom Brady? Yeah, I mean, dude, he literally broke the record for most passing touchdowns one year.
But
so
you
how
just
can you not
admitted
give him
to
MVP
me
that year?
Tom Brady was the best quarterback every single year that he played. So based on what your criteria was, you cannot make that statement because Peyton Manning has more MVPs than him. Just because Lamar won MVP in 2023 and Josh Allen won MVP in 2024 does not make him better than Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, but we're talking about right now, and I just named who the top 2 MVP candidates were last year, and Mahomes wasn't even in the conversation.
So if we're talking about right now,
why you spoke for so long?
Well, if we're talking about right now, why are you talking about last year? Right now, who's playing better, Mahomes or Josh Allen?
What was your criteria for the best quarterback in the NFL? You talk about, their past.
A multiple year sample size.
I like their recent past a lot more than their 5-year ago past. And last year, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen were better. Right now, Josh Allen, who did he just beat last week? Tell me right now.
Who did he just lose to? He lost to the Falcons. He got blown out by Michael Penix.
But who did he beat? We're talking about who did he beat? Patrick Mahomes. That was the bigger game. Sometimes we overlook bad opponents.
And who
like
did Mahomes beat? Lamar Jackson, who you just told me was better than Mahomes. So what's your argument?
If you look at the statistics of each passing scenario, short distance, medium distance, and long distance, Lamar Jackson is the best thrower in the NFL. And he's also the fastest quarterback in the NFL. Lamar Jackson is the most talented. He's the best and absolutely better than Patrick Mahomes. On top of all that, Lamar Jackson, when he lost the playoffs last year, it wasn't his fault. It was Mark Andrews'
It's never
fault.
his fault.
No, when the dude literally drops the ball on an easy catch and then is
he threw 2 turnovers in the first half.
Okay, I think Lamar Jackson is better. One was a fumble.
My next claim is Patrick Mahomes is already a top 3 quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Explain to me who your top 3 quarterbacks in order are all time in the NFL history.
Tom Brady,
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes, and then number 3, I'd go with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. Well, you know what? As of what I'm wearing, man,
I had to butter you up a little bit.
I can't say. Okay. You're not my friend. I agree that Aaron Rodgers is a top 3 quarterback. I think that you have to, you still got to put Joe Montana in there, which I think would put Mahomes at number 4. I agree with you. He's a phenomenal quarterback. We can't deny what he's done throughout his career with the winning, with these game-winning drives, all the stuff that you mentioned. He's a great quarterback. But Tom Brady, undeniably the GOAT, beat Mahomes twice head-to-head, so we know he's the greatest of all time. Talking about Joe Montana, I think the dominance in which he had during his time with the 49ers, the lack of Super Bowl losses, kind of not Michael Jordan level, but similar to that in the fact that every time he got there, he was able to get the job done and win. And then Aaron Rodgers, the best pure talent we've seen at the quarterback position. There is not a quarterback that is more talented than him with the eye test, with the accuracy, with the efficiency, lack of turnovers. I would say those are top 3. Mahomes, you slide in right at number 4, and then you got guys like Peyton Manning, of course, but I'd say Mahomes is outside the top 3 just barely.
I'm going to hit on the Joe Montana point.
Okay.
What was the most passing yards he's ever thrown this season?
I mean, it was a different time. You know, if we're talking, I know it's never been close to what Mahomes has had. I can admit that.
It's a different time. His most passing yards in the season was 3,944.
It was under 4,000.
But it was on 500 plus attempts. Patrick Mahomes in 2019 had 4,000 total passing yards on less than 500 attempts.
Yes.
So even if we're taking into account error, Patrick Mahomes has had a better passing yard season than Joe Montana on less attempts. What is the most passing touchdowns Joe Montana has thrown in the season?
And it's less than 40, is it not? Yeah.
It's 31 touchdowns. If Patrick Mahomes walked into here today and had 31 touchdowns and 3,900
He's had
yards.
less than 30 touchdowns in the past couple seasons.
In some seasons, but that is Joe Montana's best season, is what I'm saying. His best season doesn't compare to even a middle of the pack Patrick Mahomes season. Now then we talking about the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has already passed him in playoff wins all time. He's second all time. He's passed him in playoff touchdowns. He's passed him in playoff yards. He's passed him in passer rating.
Not in Super Bowls, but
he's passed him in fourth quarter comebacks. Joe Montana, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 4-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 times.
3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP. Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowls. He has 3 Super Bowl MVPs. He has 2 MVPs. He has just as many accolades as Joe Montana in
One less than the big
significantly
one.
less time, but he has 3 Super Bowl MVPs. He's been the MVP of the big game just as many times as Joe Montana.
Okay.
And he's a better regular season quarterback. He's a better playoff quarterback, not only by all-time stats, but on a game-to-game basis, he's also better. So I don't think Montana is better than Patrick Mahomes.
Last thing I'll say, I mean, we're putting Aaron Rodgers at number 1. That's the first thing. Number 2, I think that Joe Montana, when you talk about, I know if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, I get that whole statement. Joe Montana, place him in today's game where quarterbacks are treated like princes. You can't hit a quarterback in the same way. Defenses can't play quarterbacks in the same way that they could play Joe Montana back in the day. I know we can't put Joe Montana in this era, but if you put him in this era, I think he does very
If you
similar
put him in
things.
this era, he doesn't compare to Patrick Mahomes.
I think he does very similar things to Patrick Mahomes and continues to win in the same way that Mahomes
that
has.
Joe Montana has as well. What does Joe Montana do better? Does he throw the football better than Patrick
There's an
Mahomes?
argument to
Is
be
he a
made.
better playmaker than Patrick Mahomes?
There's an argument to be
no,
made.
there's not an argument to be made.
He's a better winner than Patrick Mahomes.
Better
He's won
winner.
He's won 4 Super Bowls and Mahomes has 3.
Patrick Mahomes has the best playoff win percentage in NFL history.
When it comes to the big game, though, who has more?
Who has more playoff
Joe
wins?
Montana.
Patrick
I'm getting
Mahomes
up.
has more
Joe
playoff
Montana
wins
has more
than
Super Bowl. We're done.
Joe Montana.
So we agree Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. I then put Joe Montana second, Peyton Manning third. When Tom Brady was on his pursuit of becoming the GOAT, who was he compared to?
Peyton Manning.
I disagree.
Well, in his era, but in former eras,
who
Joe Montana.
was the original GOAT of the
It's
NFL?
Joe Montana.
Okay, and why was Joe Montana considered the GOAT?
Because he won Super Bowls.
How many of them?
He won 4.
And why didn't Brady get that cred to be the GOAT when he had 3, went to 2 more, like Mahomes had lost 2 more, threw for 49, 50 touchdowns? Why wasn't Brady crowned the GOAT in 2007, 2011?
Because he didn't have the regular season accolades to back that up.
Brady
That's
didn't have the
why.
regular season accolades?
No, at that point in time, you're telling me from 2000 to 2007, who
From
had more
2000 to
MVPs
2011. From 2000 to 2011.
From that era. No, I'm saying you use a sample size of 2007. That's your cutoff mark. Peyton Manning was a better regular season quarterback in that time.
With 0
That's
rings.
why. But he had more MVPs. I want to hear your argument for Peyton Manning being better than Patrick Mahomes. What do you value? Do you value the regular season only? Do you value the playoffs? What do you value more, or do you value them equally?
I value them equally, and I think Manning is the best pure passer we've ever seen in the NFL. He basically transformed the entire industry with passing touchdowns, generationalizing the West Coast offense. Marvin Harrison, Brandon Stokely, Reggie Wayne, Dallas Clark. He basically made the shotgun a staple in today's NFL. And if it wasn't for Peyton Manning, we may not have a Patrick Mahomes because he doesn't play under center very well. So I have Brady, Montana, Manning. Manning does all the things right with throwing the touchdowns. He's won his Super Bowls. He's won his MVPs. Montana never lost. He went 4-0 in Super Bowls. He could be argued to be the original Patrick Mahomes, where in the 80s and 90s, passing wasn't prominent. We had running back MVPs and things like that. Joe Montana made the quarterback position so vital to move on and win all these games. Bill Walsh in the West Coast offense became a thing because of Joe Montana, and then Tom Brady put it all together. Passing touchdowns, MVPs, winning, consistently, all the above.
Influence doesn't quantify being the best. Influence doesn't quantify being better. If that's the case, LeBron James wouldn't be the greatest player of all time today. You can be a better player even though somebody has more influence than you on the game. Patrick Mahomes is a more talented quarterback than Peyton Manning. He has a better arm than him. He's a better playmaker. He's a better scrambler than him. And if we're talking about regular season success, Peyton Manning has more MVPs than Patrick Mahomes, but his fatal flaw is that he shrinks in big moments. He's 14-13 in the playoffs. Before the 2015
Losing to Tom
Broncos
Brady.
carried him, yes, I'm not arguing. We're arguing Peyton Manning, so
right.
let's stay on Peyton Manning.
Okay.
Before Peyton Manning got carried in 2015, he had a negative win-loss record in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes has a better playoff run than him in 3 instances, 2019, 2023, and 2024. Peyton Manning, do you want to know how many touchdowns he threw in his 2006 Super Bowl run? 3 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. His 2 Super Bowls, one of them was a carry job. The other one, he had more interceptions than touchdowns in. Patrick Mahomes has outperformed him in the playoffs at every single level and has been just as a statistically dominant regular season player. In his first year starting, he had 50 passing touchdowns. It didn't take Peyton Manning until 2013 to do that. And Mahomes did it in his first year.
He did it in 2008 when he beat Brady's 49 with 50, so you're wrong there. But also, scrambling criteria is a crazy way to do a GOAT conversation because
That's part of playmaking, extending the play. Patrick Mahomes does it better than anybody.
if you play quarterback in a system and build that system to find a way to win, you can navigate, read the...
And Peyton Manning won 2 Super Bowls. So you're telling me that same system that you find a way to win, Mahomes has won more in his given system.
If Mahomes wasn't with Andy Reid, how many Super Bowls would he have? If Matt Nagy was his head coach and Mitch Trubisky...
Matt Nagy. So what if Peyton Manning, you want to put him with the garbage head coach too?
He had a garbage head coach.
No,
they all got recycled.
No, he didn't.
Tony Dungy was garbage, dude. Yes,
Clint
he was.
Kubiak was garbage?
Yes.
Clint Kubiak was garbage.
Who?
Clint Kubiak. Gary Kubiak was garbage.
He is garbage, yeah.
Okay. Let's move on.
So I'm going to go with Tom Brady's obviously the GOAT. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers. And I'm going to go with a guy nobody's mentioned, but he doesn't get enough credit. I'm going to go with Drew Brees. Tom Brady, obviously the top, but more than anything, it's not about just the playoff victories and everything, Super Bowls. What does Tom Brady do better than any quarterback? He elevates the talent around him. Tom Brady won not 1, not 2, but 3 Super Bowls without a true number 1 receiver. He did it with guys like Troy Brown, David Givens, Deion Branch. Patrick Mahomes came into this league with 3 perennial Pro Bowlers on offense. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, Guru head coach, and Andy Reid. Let's look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had one season in his entire career with a top 10 defense. That year, they won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has had multiple top 10 defenses, guys that make impact plays all over the field. George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie, Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, you name it. And then also, let's look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees never had an elite weapon. Drew Brees also never had a crazy talented defense. He had one season where the defense was above average, and that was 2009. They won the Super Bowl. Drew Brees should also have multiple Super Bowls if it wasn't for one of the worst non-penalty calls in NFL history in that NFC Championship game against the Rams. Drew Brees would have another Super Bowl that year if they won. He's the most accurate passer of all time with pretty much only having an elite number 1 weapon for, let's say, 3 years in Jimmy Graham, and for that reason alone, I think they're the 3 best.
So I think Drew Brees is an excellent shot. I think Drew Brees is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He doesn't get enough recognition in this conversation, but he doesn't touch Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is clearly the better talent. He's clearly the better player by all aspects and accounts. And if you want to use the argument against Patrick Mahomes that he had Andy Reid, well, Drew Brees has Sean Payne. Sean Payne is one of the best offensive minds in the history of football. And you're underselling the weapons that Drew Brees played with massively. Jimmy Graham, not only was he a great player, he was an all-pro level player that at the peak of his powers rivaled what Gronk was doing in New England from a statistics perspective. So Jimmy Graham was awesome. Marquise Colston is at the top of Hall of Very Good with multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He had a good supporting cast. He had an elite level offensive line.
Pro Bowl wide receiver until like 2018.
Marquise Colston wasn't a Pro Bowler, but he was a very good player. And he had elite offensive lines in almost every year of his career. I'd say that Patrick Mahomes has done more with less, considering that in 2023, he didn't have a true number 1 wide receiver. Travis Kelce was way past his prime. He's never had a running game. He's always had a mid-tier offensive line, and he still was able to go on the best and most difficult playoff run in the history of the NFL to capture a Super Bowl.
The offensive line comment's ridiculous. In multiple of those Super Bowls, Orlando Brown was a Pro Bowler. Joe Thuney's All-Pro. Who's the center? I can't think of his name right now. But he's made multiple.
What has Orlando Brown done since leaving KC?
But what was he when he was there?
He wasn't good.
He wasn't. And he was a Pro Bowler before.
It's because Patrick Mahomes.
And a Pro Bowler before in Baltimore. My last point I'm going to make, I don't mean to cut you off, but let's also, my last argument with the 3 quarterbacks I said, they played in a much tougher era. Patrick Mahomes has never beaten anybody in the playoffs that has a Super Bowl ring.
Drew Brees played in the 2010s era. That's not the toughest era of football. He also played in the 2000s, but the peak of his prime was in the 2010s. That's not the most difficult era. That was when the quarterback rules started to be more lenient. The Chiefs' offensive lines,
to play defense.
The Chiefs, the defenses statistically are better now. They're allowing less points per game if you look it up. So the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs, he has done multiple times and proven multiple times that he can do more with less. So I don't think that argument is a good one for Drew Brees.
You disrespecting the sheriff, bro. Disrespecting Peyton Manning. Say, look, man, here's all I got to say. How many times Peyton Manning had a top 10 defense?
He had it 5 from 2002 to 2010. He had it 5 in those 8 playoff years, so that's over 50% of the time.
How many times did those defenses show up in the playoffs?
they showed up mightily multiple times. I'd say his 2 Super Bowl championships came from the defense showing up in 2015 in historic fashion. And in 2006, although the numbers might not point to it, them getting back Bob Sanders and him being the most dominant safety in football at that time was a big reason they were able to go on the playoff run. I mean, are you telling me Peyton Manning was a driving force of that playoff run when he had 3 touchdowns and 7 interceptions?
Absolutely.
It was a defense that turned around, and they were allowing 160 plus rushing yards per game, and that went down to 80 or less when Bob Sanders came back. So I'd say he's probably the most impactful player in that run.
I had to disagree, bro. I'm going to tell you right now, Peyton Manning has never really had an elite defense, but 1 year. And that year, he got the Super Bowl run. Man, look, he's better than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes may get there one day, but he's not Peyton Manning. And we can go best season by best season. 55 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, almost 5,500 yards passing. And let's not forget Peyton Manning sat out about 6 quarters of that season. Look, all I got to say is this. Going into the playoffs, Peyton Manning never really had a defense. Patrick Mahomes, he's had great defensive players, especially not on the level as Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has never had a coach like Andy Reid. He's never had a Tyreek Hill. He's never had a Travis Kelce. Peyton Manning made his receivers. Look at Eric Decker. Look at Julius Thomas. When they left, first of all, when they were in Denver, they were all pro players, Pro Bowl players. When they left Denver, what were they? And that just is what it is, man.
Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl with MVS, McCole Hardman being starting receivers for him. When they left, they got cut, and then they got traded back to KC because they weren't viable unless they were with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has more Super Bowls than Peyton Manning. He's a better playoff performer than Peyton Manning.
That is not true.
And if we're talking about the combination of regular season and postseason success, Patrick Mahomes has a combination that Peyton Manning doesn't.
I will give Patrick Mahomes, he is a better talent, but when it comes to the mindset of the game, it's Peyton Manning all day. This dude knew what the defenses were running. And you want to bring up receivers? Bro, come on. Brandon Stokely, Dallas Clark, they were recycled.
Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison.
No, but guess what? What was Marvin Harrison before Peyton Manning got there?
He got drafted there.
But he wasn't the player until Peyton Manning got there, and that is
he was
going to
be a great player regardless.
Peyton Manning has made his coaches. He's made his coaches.
Reggie Wayne performed with Andrew Luck, so it's not like he was made by Peyton Manning.
You know how many coaches he's given OC jobs? I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes hasn't
It's really
done
just
it.
been Adam Gase.
No, it's not. Mike McCoy. We all know what Gary Kubiak was before he went to Denver. He got fired from Houston because they were terrible.
He made Matt Schaub a statistical top 5 quarterback in Houston.
Matt Schaub who threw a pick 6. No, my fault. Matt Schaub who led a team who lost 14 straight games after going 2-0.
But yeah, with Gary Kubiak, Matt Schaub was a really good quarterback. My next claim is the Chiefs dynasty is better than the Patriots dynasty.
If you're going to say that the Chiefs dynasty was better than the Patriots, which one are we talking about? Because we've got 2 separate dynasties and two separate decades.
Well,
We're talking
it's
about
the
both.
totality of
totality.
It's a totality
Let's
of the
talk
dynasty.
totality, brother.
So the Patriots from 2000 to 2019
Yes.
won 6 Super Bowls in a 19-year span.
Yeah,
the Chiefs.
It's so good hearing that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's great news for you.
Yes.
The Chiefs from 2018 to 2024
Yes.
have won 3 Super Bowls in a
Right.
6-year span,
Right.
which means that in their amount of time, they've won 50% of Super Bowls
Right.
versus the Patriots 31%.
Yes.
On a percentage basis, the Chiefs are a better dynasty than the Patriots.
Okay, I understand the percentage argument, but we have to talk about the decades because 2000 to 2007, we'll say when we lost the Super Bowl, much different environment. You know, you got Brian Dawkins, you got Ray Lewis coming at you as a quarterback, like trying to kill you. Like there's no roughing the passer. You can literally manhandle a receiver and not let them get open. And Brady was still finding them the ball. Won 3 Super Bowls by the time he was 27. Pat Mahomes was 28, so he won 3 more in a little bit shorter of a time frame than Pat Mahomes did. But listen. I was goo-gooing and gaga, and we were winning championships. And then I was in high school, we were winning championships. It was at the point where in 2 separate eras of my own life, we were like scheduling Super Bowl parties like the year before because we knew we were going to do it again. And I'm wearing this jersey, the Super Bowl loss. Like this was like the first time in my life that I was like 5 years old or something like that. The first time I felt pure shock because I was like, oh my God, we didn't win the Super Bowl. Like we just won all the time. And we were like, again, 16-0. We lost the Super Bowl. We were 16-0. And let's talk about the Super Bowl losses because I feel like that's also important as well. So you've won 3 Super Bowls. You've been to 5, correct?
They've been to 5, yes.
Right. So in those 2 Super Bowls, you guys got stomped on. Historically stomped on. One of them was by Tom Brady, coincidentally. In our 3 Super Bowl losses, we have lost the 3 of them by a combined 15 points.
It feels like you're trying to separate these dynasties the Patriots have.
Well, conveniently for me, there's 2 of them.
So, okay, that's
There's
great.
2 of them.
If we want to knock them out one by one, I can knock that out one by one. Let's talk about this first dynasty of yours.
I'm talking about both. I'm talking about the totality of our losses.
I'll talk about the first
totality
dynasty.
of our losses.
Yes, I'll talk about the first
Let's
dynasty.
talk about it.
The first dynasty, the floor for the Patriots was missing the playoffs in the 2002 season.
Right.
If you're telling me losing a Super Bowl is worse than missing the playoffs, then I guess you have an argument. But I think losing a Super Bowl and getting there, winning multiple playoff games, is better than missing the playoffs in totality. The New England Patriots floor as a dynasty has been losing in 2009 to Joe Flacco, has been losing in 2010 to Mark Sanchez, has been missing the playoffs. So we're talking about the Patriots floor has been a one-and-done playoff team versus the Kansas City Chiefs floor in their dynasty with Mahomes, in the Mahomes era, has been making the AFC Championship. So are you going to tell me with a straight face that making the AFC Championship is worse than not making the playoffs or losing and being one and done?
I'm just looking at Super Bowl wins. I feel like that's really the only thing that matters.
Why is that the only thing that matters?
Because we have 6 of them.
There's 19. Yes, and what matters is that the Chiefs have won 50% of their Super Bowls in their time frame, and the Patriots won 31% of theirs. So on a percentage basis, the Chiefs dynasty has been better.
Numbers is such a subjective metric. I mean, obviously,
that's an objective metric.
But you look at it on paper. It's like, yes, as a percentage, they look a little bit better. But you think about it. Tom Brady won how many playoff games? Like over 30. He has like double the playoff career that Pat Mahomes does.
Before turning 30, how many passing touchdowns did Tom Brady have?
Couldn't tell you.
He had 22. Before turning 30, how many passing touchdowns did Patrick Mahomes have? He had 50.
Okay. Well, let's take that into account. Before turning 30, what was the era that Tom Brady was playing in? Again, I previously mentioned you got Ray Lewis, you got Brian Dawkins, you got players like that.
I also don't want to discredit this era of amazing defensive football. This era of defensive football has been amazing. I mean, I understand that, but still, Tom Brady before turning 30, if we want to even measure their careers in the first 7 seasons, Patrick Mahomes hasn't beat in every statistical category and accolades-wise.
Do you know how much harder it was? It was so much harder to throw touchdowns. It was so much harder to throw yards in an offensive situation where the defenders pretty much can do whatever they want.
Even if we take into account the 2010s era, Mahomes still had more passing touchdowns than Tom Brady in any 6-year span.
I feel like at the end of the day, what we're getting at is that we have 2 separate dynasties, and 2, I believe, is greater than 1. So we can't really argue the 2 of them. You're saying that the Chiefs dynasty is better than the Patriots dynasty.
Peak can matter just as much as longevity in certain subjects. When you have 2 juggernauts like this, peak can matter, and that's a big part of the Michael Jordan LeBron debate. Some people say Michael Jordan is the GOAT because of 6 rings and what he did in his peak. Some people say LeBron is the GOAT because of longevity. But some people say that LeBron is also the GOAT because of what he's been able to accumulate in his peak as well. So the Chiefs dynasty, their peak was better than the Patriots dynasty peak, because the peak of the Patriots dynasty was losing to Mark Sanchez and being one and done and missing the playoffs.
You're disrespecting my guy over here. Mark Sanchez, that's the floor. That is the absolute floor.
Within the peak of the Patriots dynasty, they had those embarrassing losses. The embarrassing losses you mentioned to me with Mahomes were in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, in every Super Bowl game that he's played in, he's been pressured over 40% of the time, and he's 3-2 in the Super Bowl games.
He's playing in the 2020s.
Let me finish my point. Tom Brady, in every Super Bowl game he played in, when he was pressured 40% of the time or more, lost all of them. The only ones he won was when he was pressured less than 40% of the time. So Mahomes has shown he can handle pressure better, just like the Chiefs, and that's why their floor is the AFC Championship and not getting bounced out the playoffs and being one and done or losing and not making the playoffs at all.
I'm not a fan of the Patriots dynasty myself, but they're better than the Chiefs. But I actually want to hear your debate, so go ahead.
So number one, I'm going to debate you just based on the ethics of the game. Okay. The Chiefs were able to win without cheating. The Patriots cheated twice. Spygate and Deflategate. Do you know how embarrassing it is in 2007 to get caught with Spygate and still lose the championship not go on to win the Super Bowl until a decade plus? I mean, number one, the Mahomes era with the Chiefs, although people complain about the referees being on their side, there's a flag here, there's a flag there, with the Patriots that existed ad nauseum, and they also got caught cheating twice.
That's a fact. Now, look, I would have to say this. Now, let's not act like the refs have never been in the Chiefs' favor. Now, I can recall a certain Super Bowl. I can call it just few Super Bowls.
Would you say they were in the Patriots' favor? when
Oh,
they play.
absolutely. No. Yeah, I will say, look, I wasn't a fan of the Patriots, but Dynasty is about a complete body of work, and the Chiefs they're not there yet, man. The Patriots was dominant. I have to give Brady, I have to give the crew their flowers. They have Bill Belichick, who's a better coach than Andy Reid. They have better defenses through. If you want to just give the same time frame, let's just say the Mahomes years compared to the Brady years. Brady and them have better defenses. Brady and them have had better receivers. Brady and them have had. I mean, it's just been.
Brady actually
it's been
did
better.
have better defenses. Probably 80%
That's a
of
fact.
his career.
Yeah, no.
And I would say
it's about dynasty,
yes,
though.
You're
It's
right.
about
We're talking about the
complete team.
collective of the team.
Yeah.
What was the worst team the Chiefs have lost to in the Mahomes era? What's the worst quarterback they've lost to?
You say what with Jalen Hurts probably?
It's probably Jalen Hurts.
just
I think Jalen Hurts is an exceptional quarterback.
Yeah,
I think he's a
alright.
great quarterback.
Yeah.
Actually, he's a winner.
Okay.
What's the worst quarterback Tom Brady lost to? Because
It's Mark Sanchez.
I vividly remember in 2010, 14-2, losing to Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, no. But then again, as I say, it's a body of work. Patrick Mahomes, it's kind of almost too soon. But I think there's a day in time where Patrick Mahomes, he will have his day in the playoffs where he does get outplayed by somebody, and it might come this year.
Is it going to be as bad as Mark Sanchez?
Maybe not as bad as Mark Sanchez, but I do want to point that out though. They did play one. It was a divisional game in the playoffs.
At home.
Yeah, no. I agree. Hey, but look, man, it's a division game. The Jets had a great defense. Rex Ryan always had Brady in them number when it mattered the most, and that just is what it is. But the Patriots is just they've had a longer body of work, bro, and they got the Super Bowls. The Chiefs don't. They've had Hall of Famers on defense. You want to go down the line, just in all pro players. You got Vince Wilfork, Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi, Ty Law, all those guys, Stephon Gilmore. I mean, I can keep going on during this. I mean, they've had players who were all pros, perennial, and the Chiefs just don't got the time for it, man.
So I'll say this, and this will be my final statement, and somebody else will come up, is that just because you have a longer body of work does not necessarily mean you are better than that.
I think rings do matter, man. I mean, because look, I will say with dynasties, rings matter.
Let's talk about the other teams they faced, because I think in that era, so much of what they did, what makes it more impressive, is you look at the competition they were going against. Let's look at their first Super Bowl. They took down a dynasty in the making in the greatest show on turf, Rams. Everyone thought at that time they were going to be a dynasty years rolling. Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, a top 5 defense consistently. Brady and the Pats beat them. They never recovered. Let's fast forward. Let's go to the Legion of Boom. They look like they were a dynasty in the making. Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Bobby Wagner, all those boys. After Tom Brady beat them, they never got back to another Super Bowl. And let's talk about in between that time, you had Ben Roethlisberger with Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, Hines Ward. They were 2 Super Bowls. They arguably could have won another one if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers. They made it to 3 Super Bowls during that time. Peyton Manning, obviously, was a guy who made it to multiple Super Bowls at that time. Him, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Edgerrin James, Bob Sanders, Gary Brackett. The teams that Tom Brady and the Patriots took down, they never made it back to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has faced 2 teams in the Super Bowl. They've each made it back since he beat them.
Is it impressive that Tom Brady and the Patriots cheated? You talk about the teams, you're trying to prop up these older era teams, which I fully agree with. I think they deserve their credit, but you're trying to minimize this current era, and that's something that I just can't just get behind. The Baltimore Ravens in 2023, do you know that they're the only defense in NFL history to win the Triple Crown defensively? Points allowed, sacks, and also takeaways. So all those defenses that you mentioned never reached the feat of the 2023 defensive Baltimore Ravens. The Kansas City Chiefs beat them. In the Super Bowl, do you know that the 2023 San Francisco 49ers have the record for the most 1,000 yard from scrimmage players in NFL history? That is statistically one of the best offensive teams in the history of the NFL. The Chiefs beat them as well. In 2022, the Eagles hold the record for the most sacks ever in a season with 70. The Chiefs beat them too. And if you want to mention the 2018 Patriots versus Chiefs AFC Championship game where they were a phantom call away from beating the New England Patriots.
So then they're a phantom call away from the Eagles beating you guys.
But the Patriots almost lost to the worst version of the Kansas City Chiefs in 2018. And the 2018 Patriots were awesome on both sides. And they almost lost to the worst version of the Chiefs. So what do you think what would happen if they had a better version of that team that actually had a good defense? Because Mahomes in that year, they had one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and he still carried them to the AFC Championship game. So the Chiefs almost took them down while having a porous defense, and Mahomes went toe-to-toe with Tom Brady. So the teams that the Chiefs have beat in their dynasty has been just as impressive. They have not been a one-and-done team. They have not lost in a divisional round. They have not missed the playoffs, while the Patriots have.
They play against great quarterbacks. They don't play against great teams. You mentioned the phantom call in the 2018
The Buffalo
AFC
Bills in
Championship.
2023 were 6th ranked in defense. You just said they don't play against great defenses. Lamar Jackson, 2023 Ravens, he was also the MVP, but that was the 1st ranked defense in the NFL.
They gave up 17 points that game. That's 100% true, but they lost that game because of Lamar.
So you admit that was a great defense.
That's not a great team.
You just told me that wasn't a great defense.
That's not going to be remembered as a great team, and you can look me in the eye and you can tell me that.
You just told me that
that's
that's not a great defense, correct? You told me that's not a great defense. The number 1 ranked defense that year, that wasn't a great defense. They faced great quarterbacks, not great teams. That's exactly what you said. And you're over here saying
they
that.
Faced a great team. Mahomes, I'm saying they did their part. They only gave up 17 points.
You're over here saying that they didn't play great defenses. They played great quarterbacks, yet you're now trying to blame the game on Lamar Jackson and not the defense. Which one is it?
That game was on Lamar Jackson.
So not the defense, which you just said they didn't play great defenses. But the Chiefs did play great defenses.
They're great defenses for today, but today defenses are strategically, the game is not played
strategically,
for them.
it's better today.
No, it's not.
With the rise of 2 hot defenses, it is without a doubt statistically better, and that's why in the last couple of seasons the points allowed have been lower.
Back in the day, guys were afraid to go over the middle. Today, it's easy. You touch a guy, the way Ray Lewis used to hit, the way Troy Polamalu used to hit, it's the difference. You touch a guy today, it's a penalty.
Did he face those guys all the time? Did the Patriots face them all the time? No, they did not.
Yeah, they did, actually.
No, they did not. In 2010, who was the pass rusher they faced that they were afraid of? Who was the middle linebacker? They were afraid of David Harris. They were afraid of Sione Puha. They were afraid of Sean Ellis.
That's right.
The question is, what is a better dynasty holistically? And we're looking at 6-3 versus 3-2. If your argument was that the Chiefs dynasty could be better, that'll hear out. But as of today, we have one dynasty that spans 19 years, 6 Super Bowls, and 9 appearances versus 3 wins and 5 appearances. How could half the Super Bowls equate to a better dynasty?
I can only take into account what the Chiefs have done today. And what the Chiefs have done today has been better than any 6 to 7 year sample size that the Patriots have done in their dynasty.
Wait, but the Patriots have a 19-year sample size.
That's why
it's the whole thing.
Okay, but in any 6 to 7 year span, the Chiefs have been better. And there was a big drought in between those dynasties where they did not make the Super Bowl. So what equates a dynasty in your opinion? Is it winning a Super Bowl? Is that when the dynasty starts? Is it losing? What equates to it?
The dynasty starts from first Super Bowl to last Super Bowl, and that's 19 years. That's inconvenient for the claim that the Chiefs the Chiefs happens to be 7 years and the Patriots have to be 19 years.
And the reason why that's illogical is because the first Super Bowl that the Patriots won was in the 2000s, and then the last one they won was in 2018, but they went on a big span where they didn't reach one again. From 2008 to 2014, I believe, they didn't go back to Super Bowl. So we're really talking about the start. Oh, yeah, 2011. So they went 4 to 5 years without making a Super Bowl championship, with being one and done.
Wait, they didn't ever go
playoffs.
3 years without making the Super Bowl. We have 01, 03, 04, 07, 11, 14.
Well, that was 3 years from
16, and we have
2008,
18.
2009, 2010. Those 3 seasons where they didn't make it.
Not to mention, 2 of the Patriots Super Bowls are, in my opinion, 2 of the greatest games of all time. When 27-3, which was 28-3, which is crazy, and we also have the Seahawks Patriots game, which I would argue is the greatest Super Bowl ever. Malcolm Butler, they definitely should have run that ball, but regardless, the 19 years is the duration of the Patriots dynasty. And if I'm a fan, I'm a Giants fan, which is tough right now, but I would rather have 19 years of excellence, 6 Super Bowls, than 7 years of 3 Super Bowls. As a NFL fan, if my team did that, I'd be much happier with the Patriots dynasty than the Chiefs dynasty right now.
The Chiefs dynasty is currently still going because Patrick Mahomes is still in the midst of his prime, and they still have Andy Reid. So
I agree, but as of today, the Patriots is better.
And as of today, the Chiefs have won 50% of their Super Bowls dating back to 2018, which is more than the 31% that the Patriots have won in their time in the 19-year span. And the Chiefs have done already historic things when we talk about there has been no team ever to go back-to-back and then reach the Super Bowl the very next year. The Chiefs are the very first team in NFL history to go to 3 straight Super Bowls and win 2 of them. The Buffalo Bills went to 4 straight and lost all 4, but the Kansas City Chiefs this year have a chance to go to a 4th and be the second team in history to do that since the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs, all I can do is take the sample size of where they're at currently. And where they're at currently is that they've had more success. They have a better win percentage than the Patriots in any similar year sample size that they've had.
In 12 years, if the Chiefs have 3 more Super Bowls, then you have an argument.
My next claim is that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest postseason quarterback ever.
there is one thing that I need to bring up. 28-3, the greatest postseason performance we have ever seen. He is down in the dumps. Brady's sitting there like this, saying, "Yo, let me cook. Let me do my thing." No matter what Patrick Mahomes has done, and he's done a lot of great things. Do not get me wrong, folks. Tom Brady has done the single, same as LeBron in the 3-1 comeback, the single greatest thing in postseason NFL history. I don't want to hear it. 28-3 comeback. That puts it, the debate shuts it down right then and there, Joel. Thank you.
It doesn't, because
it does,
one game doesn't signify the greatest postseason quarterback when you're talking about the stretch of their careers and what they do on a game-to-game basis.
He's done other things too. But
Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs has a better touchdown percentage, a better interception percentage. He has more total yards per game, and he also has a better passer rating than Tom Brady all time in the playoffs. He has a better win percentage in the playoffs than Tom Brady at 82% versus Brady 71%. He has a better fourth quarter comeback percentage than Tom Brady, and you're talking about a single.
Played longer, larger sample size. But
you're talking about a single game. Okay, a larger sample size, that doesn't affect the percentages.
It does affect it because you played for longer.
Yeah, Mahomes has only lost 4 times in the playoffs. That's why he's that good.
Let's see by the end of his career if his percentages are still higher.
Let me get to my next point. I'm valuing an entire run over a single game.
I'm valuing 2 runs.
Patrick Mahomes in 2023 went on statistically the most difficult playoff run in NFL history. He played the coldest game, the 4th coldest game in NFL history. He went on the road against Josh Allen.
Oh my God.
Favorite Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, who were top 6 in points scored and points allowed, and he beat the Bills on the road.
Are you cold
then
right now?
Against the 2023 Ravens in an AFC Championship game, we're talking about a historic level defense that won a triple crown in defense. One of the best defenses ever, and Mahomes beat them. And then in the Super Bowl, he was down 10 points and came back after halftime, and he was able to lead a comeback and win in overtime. One of the best offenses, one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL.
And Brady did it against one of the best offenses of all time, and Matt Ryan, and Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu,
and who stopped that
Devontae Freeman
offense in the second half? It was the Patriots defense.
Tom
Brady has had more help defensively than Patrick Mahomes has in his career.
28-3, that is all I'm going to say. Joel, thank you. Have a great day, my friend.
I read a study recently by Spencer Barnes from UTEP. Brought out the stats. So the Chiefs actually do get favorable calls in their favor in the playoffs. It's just a straight fact. When the lights are the brightest, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt. So the Chiefs have 28% more calls that are subjective that the refs tend to call in the Chiefs' favor. So the Chiefs actually bring in the most money for the NFL. This is my grand argument that the Chiefs generate the most money for the NFL, so why wouldn't they push them towards winning more championships and more rings? They generate the most viewership. Yes, they win. I'm not going to argue that they don't win. Obviously, we all know that they win, obviously. But Patrick Mahomes gets bailed out time and time again. How many times on 3rd and 4th down do we see Patrick Mahomes drop back? He throws an incomplete pass, and we see a flag on the field. What is it? Roughing the passer. Oh, a defensive holding here. Over and over, time and time, and we all just sit here and we accept it. We just go blind to it, and there's nothing we could say about it because it's the NFL, and we just eat it up, and that's what we do. But Patrick Mahomes gets the benefit of the doubt here, whereas a Tom Brady doesn't get that benefit.
So you're saying
of the
Tom
doubt.
Brady and the Patriots never had calls go their way?
Not in the way
Did they do that same study with the Patriots? Because in order to have a common ground, I'd like that study to be done on the Patriots too, to actually find some common ground on this. Because if you're mentioning this Chiefs one, number one, they're the most hated team in the NFL right now. So of course, any data is going to be used to prop up against them. But I also believe that what you're doing is diminishing and you're disrespecting the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, of Travis Kelce, of Chris Jones, of Andy Reid, of every player that's on that roster by saying they're only winning because of beneficial calls. Are you telling me that they beat the Buffalo Bills in 2023 because of a beneficial call, or because Josh Allen missed a wide open receiver in the end zone when Chris Jones came barreling down his face and pushed them over to the side? Are you telling me that they got a beneficial call when on 3rd down to ice the Ravens out and beat them in 2023? He threw a pass to Marquez Valdes-Scantling and he caught it. You're telling me that they got a beneficial call when Kelce beat Kyle Hamilton, one of the best safeties, straight up head-to-head and called a touchdown against him? Was that a bailout call there? I can name numerous great plays the Chiefs have made during their dynasty to signify that they're this amazing postseason team, and I think that you're minimizing them by just bringing up referees.
Absolutely not. We all watched that Bills-Chief game last postseason where we missed 3 calls.
What about the kicker missing?
I don't have stats on the kicker missing.
So
but-
that impacted the outcome of the game. So
But so did every penalty that went in the way of the Chiefs. That changes the course of the game. It changes the momentum at every single turn.
The NFL has literally changed rules for Josh Allen, and you're telling me about Patrick Mahomes? The NFL has changed 2 rules for Josh Allen.
So you don't think the NFL tries to help out Patrick Mahomes at all? You think it's unbiased?
Why did the
think that they just
overtime
let it
rules
happen?
change? Why did the overtime rules change? Because Patrick Mahomes was great in 13 seconds to will them to get the field goal and then get the ball first in overtime to score a touchdown. They changed the rules so Josh Allen can have a more favorable and fair fight against Patrick Mahomes. Why did they change the rule and now add in technology for a first down marker for a first down? Because they try to tush push.
They blew that call against the Chiefs,
They try
brother.
to tush push that was unsuccessful for multiple times in that game, and the Chiefs stuffed it perfectly. You all try to tell me that they should ban a tush push for the Eagles, but when it's the Bills that do it and they're unsuccessful at it, now it's okay. We got to change the rules
The
for
tush
them.
push should be banned, by the way. They definitely should be banned. It's
So
unethical for sure.
Those things, and that was such a close call that had nothing to do with the referees. That was such a minuscule close call that it
But
could
that's
have went
one
either
call
way.
of I can't even tell you how many
And I just
calls over
mentioned
the past
all the
7
great
years.
plays that they've had throughout their dynasty.
They make great plays. They're in the playoffs for a
Yes,
reason.
and
I know
they make great plays. That's why they're a great postseason team. And Mahomes is a great postseason quarterback, and he's the best ever. It's not just the referees. It's not just minimizing it to that.
I'm so glad you brought up the 28-3 because just about 9 months ago, I believe Pat Mahomes was down 24 to what was it, 0? I think it was 0. And I just want to put it out there. This is the guy that you're saying is the best playoff quarterback of all time, correct? Is that what the claim was?
He's the greatest postseason quarterback in NFL history.
His passer rating was a 10. Out of 158.3, it was a 10.
And in that game, his passer rating was that low, and he still has a better career overall playoff passer rating than Tom Brady.
The only reason his passer rating is anything above like 12 is because he was throwing garbage time touchdowns.
You're mentioning that one game, but what about his sample size? The sample size that he's won 17 playoff games versus only 4 losses.
He played against Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy's corpse. His competition was not great. That all the defense had to do was shut down Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock
beating
Purdy
Jared
for
Goff in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in which he didn't even have to do anything offensively. Bill Belichick did everything in 2018. That was one of the Super Bowl wins. Mahomes has had to do more offensively in every single Super Bowl than Tom Brady has had to do in multiple ones. You're talking about a blowout Super Bowl loss. What about Tom Brady's blowout losses in the playoffs too? He's gotten blown out by the Ravens. He's gotten blown out by the Broncos.
Talk about the
He's
big
gotten
games.
blown out by the Jets.
We got to talk about the big games.
Every playoff game is a big game.
Let's talk about the biggest game of all. All right, so Tom Brady has been to 10 Super Bowls and he has won 7 of them. In those 3 losses he has won by a combined 15 points. Pat Mahomes, 2 Super Bowl losses, he lost by over 15 points in both of those games. He got stomped on, and by one of the games was Tom Brady. Mind you, he was favored in both of those games. He was favored, and he got stomped on. Tom Brady never left the field, but in the 2 Super Bowls we lost to the Giants, he left the field in the 4th quarter with the lead. He did not lose that game for the Patriots. The defense lost the game.
In the biggest games, which I take into account all of the playoffs,
okay,
Brady has also lost big in big games as well. If you want to talk about Super Bowl, fine.
There's
but
no bigger game than
the
that.
reason why that happened is because Patrick Mahomes has taken weaker supporting cast to the Super Bowl than Tom Brady. That's why in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes has been pressured over 40% of the time in all of his Super Bowls combined. And he's won 3 of them. Brady, in all of his Super Bowls combined, where he's been pressured over 40% of the time, he has not won. He's lost every single one.
You love your percentages.
You know what that shows me? That shows me exactly what the cliche is. If you pressure Tom Brady, you can beat him. They pressure Patrick Mahomes at an obscene rate, and that's why he's able to look like a mortal human. But Tom Brady has had very embarrassing losses in the playoffs before, and just because they weren't in the Super Bowl doesn't minimize them. If anything, it's impressive that Patrick Mahomes was able to get to the Super Bowl, and his floor is the AFC Championship game.
Saying that anybody with less Super Bowl rings than 7 is the greatest playoff quarterback of all time is just blasphemous. That is just an insane take. And I think objectively,
because you're valuing a team collective performance.
Anybody can look
at a team performance.
Yeah, but
Super
if you
Bowls
look at
is
his
a
hands, he's
team
got 7
achievement.
rings.
Yes. a team
That means
achievement.
better.
Is a Super Bowl a team achievement?
Sure.
On an individual basis, who's
Sure.
been better on a down-to-down, game-to-game basis? Brady or Mahomes? Mahomes has been better statistically by everything that you want to account for. He's been better.
I will give you that he has lost one less Super Bowl than Tom Brady has. In the Eagles Super Bowl, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and lost. That is not his fault. All of his Super Bowl losses were not his fault.
Even accounting for those 500 yards, still on a game-to-game basis, Mahomes is statistically better than Tom Brady.
Statistically this, statistically that, 7-3.
When I look at a playoff run, I think the most successful thing you can do is win a Super Bowl. How many Super Bowls does Tom Brady have?
He has 7.
And how many Super Bowls does Patrick Mahomes have?
He has 3.
That is more success. What is the second most successful thing you could do in a playoff run?
Perform at a high level.
No, reach the Super Bowl is actually what you could do.
Okay.
And how many Super Bowls has Tom Brady been to?
He's been to 10.
And how many has Patrick Mahomes been to?
He's been to 5.
All right, next thing. When we're talking about playoffs and quarterbacks and things that they've done, when Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes have played against each other head-to-head in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, what happened? There's 2 games.
Mahomes outplayed him one time and Brady outplayed him the other.
But like winning is better than. Ask any athlete. Would you rather win the game or would you rather have a better quarterback
Your argument
rating?
is that Super Bowls is the reason why Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time.
No, we're talking about playoff success. Hold up. You just said
in the
4
postseason.
people.
Let me ask you something. In the NBA, who's your greatest player of all time?
I'm a Michael Jordan guy.
Okay, you're a Michael Jordan guy. I like that you're staying consistent with the rings argument because he has
Bill
more
Russell
than
has
LeBron
more.
James.
I mean, Robert Horry has more than fucking
so
Michael Jordan.
why isn't Bill Russell better than Michael Jordan all time since he has more
Because
championships?
there was like 8 teams back then. But let's keep it with NFL.
No. So why?
Dude, we're talking head to head.
So now your logic is inconsistent throughout multiple sports that we're talking about. Because in basketball, the ring argument doesn't work for Bill Russell, and he's not the greatest. But in the
Because there
NFL,
was
it
8
works for
teams
Tom
back
Brady.
then, and now there's 30 NBA teams. And when Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have won their Super Bowls, it's the same amount of teams in the NFL, except Brady's first one. The Texans got added after that. They're a non-factor. Brady has more Super Bowls than Patrick Mahomes, more FC Championship appearances than Patrick Mahomes, more Super Bowl appearances than Patrick Mahomes. And when they've played each other in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, Brady won both times. And also, Tom Brady's never been blown out in a Super Bowl. That last year was
I'd
embarrassing.
argue against
that must have been really tough for you.
In
I'm
the
sorry.
early 2000s,
You guys will
Tom
get back
Brady,
there.
the driving forces of those Super Bowl wins were the defenses. And in those playoff runs were the defenses over Brady.
Oh, the
Patrick
defense won Super Bowl
Mahomes
MVP?
has been the driving force of every single playoff run in Super Bowl that he's won. My next claim is the 2022 Patrick Mahomes season is the best quarterback season in NFL history.
Joe Burrow last season had a better had one of the 3 best seasons ever by a quarterback, which was Brady in 2007 and then Rodgers, and I believe 2011 when they won 15 games.
2022
Those are
regular season, Mahomes was better.
not than any of those.
You want to
3
know why?
guys.
Because
he was one of the only guys to throw 45 touchdowns, over 4,500 yards, and less than 10 interceptions.
who has the most scrimmage yards in NFL history in a single season? It's Patrick Mahomes in 2022 with 5,600. That's how much. We're talking about a single season, just in totality, regular season and playoffs. So I have no idea why you just mentioned Joe Burrow, who didn't even make the playoffs.
Not
And
his
in
own
multiple
fault,
games, I mean, he fumbled against the Chiefs against Chris Jones. They couldn't beat the Patriots in week 1. There were moments he could have been better, and he wasn't. So Patrick Mahomes, the reason why he has the single best quarterback season in NFL history is because he has a combination of the regular season and the postseason success, which elevates him in that conversation. He did historic things not only in the regular season, but also in the postseason, and he did that after losing Tyreek Hill.
Burrow is up there for sure with that Rodgers and Brady season that I mentioned, as well as Lamar Jackson in his first MVP year. The way he revolutionized the way the read option offense was used and the numbers that he put up, the electricity with which he played. Eye test alone, you could argue Lamar Jackson is right up there with him. I get it.
Which season are you picking out? Because you're picking a lot of different seasons. Which one are you honing in on that you think is better? Do you think
I'll say this past Joe Burrow season.
This past Joe Burrow season is not better because he didn't make the playoffs. And Patrick Mahomes in 2022 was better in the regular season, and he was better in the playoffs. In the regular season, he had the most scrimmage yards all time by a quarterback.
Okay, that's great.
He had more passing. You know, he had the 4th most passing yards all time in a single season by a quarterback. So you trying to argue this past season Joe Burrow is ridiculous?
I don't think it's ridiculous at all because I think that the way that Joe Burrow performed with that offense, and again, when you look at statistically at the end of that season,
With Jamar Chase and T. Higgins?
Yeah, with end.
Yeah, with that offense.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he had elite weapons.
Yeah, and
You act like he carried them. We just saw Joe Flacco throw 400 yards with that supporting cast.
He's done that on other teams before. We don't need to worry.
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl, actually. He won.
I'm talking about after being old, Joe Flacco has done that similar kind of thing.
No, he does not. That was his career high yardage. He's never done that before.
I didn't say he threw for exactly 470 yards, but he's had phenomenal performances on other teams when he stepped in.
But he has had multiple great performances
on
just
other teams without Chase and Higgins.
Taking the place of Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He has replicated Joe Burrow's production. Joe Flacco's not the reason they're losing right now either.
He didn't do that for a whole season.
He did that against the Jets and against the Chicago Bears.
Wow, 2 games equates a full 17-game season where Burrow
Jake
had one of the greatest regular seasons of all time.
Then we saw Jake Browning step in when Joe Burrow got hurt, and they went 9-8 after that.
No, man.
So you're trying to argue a regular season. Number one, Joe Burrow's 2024 regular season not even better than Mahomes' 2022 regular season. And then we're not even taking into account playoffs because we don't even got to go there because Burrow ain't make it.
If your defense was good, he'd be able to make it. But Mahomes has always had a great defense.
2013 Peyton Manning, bro.
2013 Peyton Manning, most passing touchdowns in a season. There's no doubt.
55 and 10, 55 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Don't forget it.
Regular season success.
He surely did.
But what happened in the postseason? What happened in the biggest game? The argument you guys have been giving me this entire day has been the Super Bowl matters, and he got blown out in it.
Okay, now here's my defense. Von Miller towards ACL. Chris Harris Jr. towards ACL. No Derek Wolfe, no Sean Phillips, no Danny Trevathan, no Champ Bailey.
That's the defense. What about the offense? What did he do? How many points did he put up?
Look, the offense didn't play well, but guess what? The whole team was depleted. Our left tackle was out for that game. And you're playing arguably the greatest defense in NFL history. Now, I get it. But guess what? Who had the greatest offense in NFL history?
The 2013 Broncos statistically had the best offense in NFL history.
Who was their quarterback?
It was Peyton Manning.
Who has the most touchdowns in a single season in NFL history?
Yes.
Who has
Peyton Manning has that. In the single season Mahomes had in 2022, in the complete totality of the season, he threw for 6,400 yards. He had 50-plus touchdowns.
Peyton Manning sat 6 quarters because the Broncos were putting belt to everyone in a regular season.
It's a single season.
And Peyton Manning was sitting the fourth quarters.
It's not just the regular season. What did he do in the playoffs?
He beat Tom Brady and he beat Phillip Rivers and he got to the Super Bowl when his team was depleted.
Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs
he was out both of his corners, his linebacker, hit Von freaking Miller, for God's sake.
He put up 8 points in the Super Bowl.
With what team? And he was still favored to win the game.
What do you mean, what team?
He was still favored. He was still favored to win the game with the depleted defense against one of the greatest defenses in NFL history.
That's not an argument for him. You're telling me he was favored to win the game and then he got blown out.
No, he lost the game, but I'm saying that wasn't on him. He played the greatest.
It was on him. He scored 8 points.
Everybody knew if the Broncos were to win that game, it had to be a bang, bang game. That was a fact. And when you don't have your 3 best defensive players, then guess what?
And
you're
when you have your quarterback playing poorly, you're going to get outmatched.
He didn't play poorly.
You were telling me that they were favored and he didn't do his part. He choked in the Super Bowl.
He didn't choke.
We're talking about a single
he didn't choke.
Entire season.
The special teams giving up touchdowns. The center throwing the ball over Peyton Manning. That's not him choking, man.
Patrick Mahomes had 7 touchdowns and 0 interceptions and 700 passing yards in that playoff run alone in 2022. He beat an Eagles defense that led the NFL and is number 1 in history in sacks. And guess how many he took in that game? He took 0. He had 0 failed drives in that one.
Real quick, what happened in that Eagles Super Bowl? Why did they win the game? Because I remember a really big, I remember a really big Kadarius Toney return and Jalen Hurts fumbling the ball and they picking it up.
I remember multiple. Yeah. I remember Kadarius Toney's punt return touchdown.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember Jalen Hurts' fumble that led to a touchdown, and I also remember Patrick Mahomes leading multiple game-winning drives. Yes, but are you telling me Mahomes? Are you telling me Mahomes didn't perform in that Super Bowl?
No,
he performed in it.
No, he performed well. But I'm saying,
and Peyton Manning didn't perform in his.
In totality, if Peyton Manning's team was healthy, it was a different game. And all I'm gonna say is, regular season, he's got him, and you know he's got him. Yeah, you can throw all the 5,600 total yards. Peyton Manning sat out quarters because we was giving belt to everybody.
This isn't about regular season. It's about the entire season.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the regular season and the playoffs.
Playoffs, he outplayed Brady and he outplayed Phillip Rivers, and we got to the Super Bowl.
Mahomes was better in his playoff run.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
That is that is not a fact.
Was it 2022 season?
Yes.
Bro, I don't even remember that. You know, I move off vibes, bro. You know what I mean? You probably have a lot of stats, but there's a few seasons I remember that were crazy, right? We got Aaron Rodgers was like, 48-4, something like that. I think Tom Brady had a season where he didn't lose any games. You know, broke passing records. Peyton Manning broke passing records that still haven't been broken. You know, and Pat Mahomes had a great year, but I would say he stepped into an easy position. You know, Andy Reid was there. He just replaced Alex Smith. Tyreek Hill's, what's the meme? He's down there somewhere.
He wasn't on the team, though.
It was Oh, my man. There we go. See, that's the stats I'm talking
Hardman,
about.
Baby.
Still fast guy, though, right?
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Right. And Juju's doing TikToks in the middle of the field. It is impressive, you know what I mean? But there was way better seasons, bro. Even Lamar Jackson last year, he had 1,000 yards rushing while throwing 30 touchdown passes, right?
I don't think
40.
I don't
what?
think-
My boys is helping me out here. You know, I got backup. You know what I mean? I didn't
don't
even have to
think
bring a jersey.
There's a single season better. Because all of the all-time regular seasons that you could point to didn't result in the biggest achievement, which what I've been told this entire day matters more than everything else.
Not by me.
It doesn't matter on a game-to-game, down-to-down basis how you perform. It just matters how you perform in that one big moment. In 2007, Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns, but then in the Super Bowl, he lost to the New York Giants after being heavily favored. And then we look at 13 Peyton Manning, also lost in the Super Bowl in embarrassing fashion. You can argue more embarrassing than any Mahomes Super Bowl loss that he's had. Then we look at other seasons, past ones, like Marino. He didn't win it all. Aaron Rodgers, he was 15-1 and then lost to the Giants after being heavily favored. But Aaron Rodgers has had multiple great regular seasons, but then when he won MVP in 2021, the 49ers only scored a special teams touchdown and he still wasn't able to win the game. Mahomes was able to have a regular season MVP, that success, the most scrimmage yards by a quarterback in a single season, and also cap that off with the playoff run that goes up there with any playoff run that you can compare to all time and cap it off with the Super Bowl.
Right, no, that's cool, but that speaks to more what I'm saying is Andy Reid was there, you know, he's, okay, Pat Mahomes better than Donovan McNabb, Alex Smith. That's cool. But I remember the games, man. Lamar's running around easy. You know, like I'm playing Madden with him. I'm not playing with Pat Mahomes. You know what I mean? Dude, I remember there's a year Sam Bradford was dope. You know, Sam Bradford was dope. You know, there's big years. And that Super Bowl, it's like, okay, that's a team achievement. Like you've been saying a lot today, right? You know, there was a lot of like Chiefs, like just solid organization, right? The Patriots, okay, they lost against the Giants that year. They won the Super Bowl every other year. Tom Brady was chilling that game. Michael Strahan was trying to kill him, literally, bro. Pat Mahomes has encountered none of that. I don't even, who did the Chiefs play in the Super Bowl that year?
They played the Eagles.
Right. I don't even, Hassan Riddick was around? I don't even know. You know, easy time. I remember that undefeated season. I remember that 15-1 season. I remember that Peyton season. I do not remember Pat Mahomes.
All right, I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna go to one season that nobody's mentioned, but nobody's talked about. It's actually a little bit before all our time. We're gonna go all the way back to 1999. We're gonna go with Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner, 1999, was a backup, was stocking groceries. We got Trent Green down, and then they rally around Kurt Warner. That year, he did it all. At the time, set a record, I believe, since Dan Marino, 1984, I believe so. 41 touchdowns, only 13 picks. 4,100 yards, historic offense, league MVP. Then in the playoffs against the Minnesota Vikings at the time, the previous year, were 15-1, and at that time were the greatest offense ever in 1998. They beat them. In the conference championship game, they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with that time with Warren Sapp, John Lynch, Brooks, Rondé Barber, a great historic defense that would go on to win the Super Bowl a few years later. And it came down into the Super Bowl. He went there. They had a 16-0 lead at halftime. He gets banged up. I don't remember what it was. Got the ball with 2 minutes. Went right down the field, scored a touchdown. It came down to the last yard. The ultimate Cinderella story from grocery soccer, league MVP, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl champion. Hell, they even made a movie about it. It's the greatest season in history, and nothing will ever beat that, from spectacle to talent to statistic.
It took them 20 years to make that movie. I don't know if you've seen recently, they just made a documentary on the Kansas City Chiefs just now. It's on ESPN if you want to check it out. It didn't take them long to make that. So I'm sure it's going to be a movie on that. If you're talking about from a storyline, from a feel-good perspective, you have a major point. Kurt Warner came from nothing and then was the MVP of the league. But I'd argue he wasn't even the MVP of the team, because Marshall Faulk the very next year won the MVP. And I think
because Kurt Warner was out, and by the way, he missed 6 games that year and still finished second in MVP voting.
Kurt Warner was playing that year, and he actually had a statistically down season when Marshall Faulk won the MVP. We're talking about, I think that era of Kurt Warner, and this is with all due respect to him, I feel like it's very similar to what we saw as of recently in 2023, where the 49ers had a historic level offense led by Christian McCaffrey, but because we play in an era 20 years later, they wanted to give the credit to Brock Purdy instead of the running back, and I feel like back then, the running back was the one that was the driving force of those offenses. Kurt Warner had a Hall of Fame level offensive line across the board. He had a great offensive-minded head coach. He had great weapons. He had a great great back. And still, the single season that he had wasn't as good statistically as Patrick Mahomes. The playoff run that he had wasn't as good as Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes in the 2022 playoff run injured his ankle and still played through it and still won a Super Bowl off on an injury against the statistical best defense at getting sacks and getting after the quarterback. He took 0, which is a credit to his greatness because sacks are a quarterback stat. The best quarterbacks are able to avoid them, and he avoided them at a historically high rate.
The win against the Jaguars was so tough, and mind you, the backup quarterback saved that game with his touchdown drive. And let's also just go back to what you said before about the offense. Kurt Warner, in 2000, he did get hurt. He broke a finger. I believe he missed 5 or 6 games. Still finished second in MVP voting. And had he not got hurt, I believe he was on pace for that year 6,000 passing yards. That would have been even better than his 99 season. The 99 season came out of nowhere. It has everything in terms of what you look for in the NFL in terms of story, talent, statistics, overcoming the odds. That's what you sell sports with. What's the best thing about sports? It's the underdog, the Cinderella story, from storylines to talent to results. Kurt Warner's season is the best of all time,
The
barring none.
storyline perspective, you have it, but the stats, you don't have it. Mahomes had more total yards that season. Mahomes
With
had
an
more
extra game, 17 games.
Okay, but even on a game-to-game basis, he had more total yards per game. He had more total touchdowns in that season as well. And yes, the greatest show on turf was the number 1 offense. The Chiefs in 2022 were the number 1 offense in the NFL as well. So when we're talking about statistics, Mahomes was better. The storyline, yes, that's the only thing that you can equate to Kurt Warner because he came from nothing. But if we're talking about the single best season from a production eye test standpoint, it was Patrick Mahomes. My next claim is that Andy Reid needed Patrick Mahomes more than Patrick Mahomes needed Andy Reid.
I would argue that no quarterback in NFL history has been drafted into a better situation than Patrick Mahomes. He was given unlimited power on the receiving side. He was given a Hall of Fame coach. You could easily argue one of the best coaches ever. And an elite defense. He's never not been surrounded by unlimited talent.
The only reason we view the Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs situation as the best situation a quarterback has been drafted to is because Mahomes has been so historically great that we use that to knock him. No quarterback ever drafted into any situation in their first season as a starter has been able to pass for 50 touchdowns in a single season.
Andy Reid made Chad Henne and Alex Smith look elite.
There's no quarterback, there's no coach that you can sell me on that is able to go into a great situation off rip and throw for 50 touchdowns.
If Josh Allen gets drafted to the Chiefs, do you think he has a better or worse career?
In his first season, Josh Allen, do you think he throws for 50 touchdowns?
Yeah.
No, he doesn't, because in his first couple seasons with the Bills, he wasn't good. He didn't break out until the 3rd year. But he also was one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL. Just because you plop Josh Allen into that situation doesn't mean he was going to replicate Patrick Mahomes. There have been other quarterbacks that have been drafted into great offensive situations. I look at J.J. McCarthy just now. He has Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, a good offensive line, a great head coach. Kevin O'Connell is amazing. He is not putting up that level of production.
Not nearly as good as Andy Reid.
Because why? He's not good. You have to be great to be able to have great production, and Mahomes has been able to do that. And when we're talking about Andy Reid, what was Andy Reid's reputation before Mahomes was the quarterback? How many playoff wins did the Chiefs win with Alex Smith before Mahomes?
I don't know how many playoff wins they won, but Andy Reid was considered a Hall of Fame elite coach before Patrick Mahomes showed up.
He was not. He was not considered a Hall of Fame coach. He was what Kyle Shanahan is considered right now, a coach that was choking in big games. That was Andy Reid's legacy before Mahomes showed up. When Mahomes showed up, that's why he has now gotten elevated. When Mahomes was not there, he had a losing record in the playoffs.
I would argue that Andy Reid never had an elite quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes is absolutely an elite quarterback.
Is Donovan McNabb great?
No, he's not even close to Patrick Mahomes.
You don't think he's great? I'm not saying nobody's Mahomes.
He's pretty good.
But I'm saying
if you throw in,
McNabb is just a scrub.
If you throw in at least 15 to 20 elite quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes' position, they have a similar level of success.
I don't think there's even 20 elite quarterbacks in the league. He's not a system quarterback.
You throw in Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. All of them have similar success in Andy Reid's system. Maybe not the exact same success, but Patrick Mahomes is entirely dependent on Andy Reid because he's never suffered. He's never had to play on a garbage team. He's never been surrounded by garbage and succeeded at an elite level.
So you're telling me that those guys could maybe come in and do what Mahomes done, but not do it exactly.
I'm saying because of that, Mahomes is more reliant on Andy Reid than Andy Reid is reliant on Mahomes.
No, because Andy Reid needed Mahomes to finally get over hump in the playoffs and reach multiple conference championships and get to the Super Bowl and win.
Pat Mahomes without Andy Reid is not winning nearly as many Super Bowls. While Andy Reid without Pat Mahomes, if you give me at least 10 quarterbacks in the league, is winning the same amount of Super Bowls.
You know, I think we neglect to mention the fact that Pat Mahomes coming out of college was known as a raw prospect in an air raid system. So let's also put this to bed here. Alex Smith, the year prior to Patrick Mahomes becoming a starter, where Mahomes got the chance to sit for an entire year, he was an MVP candidate, if you recall. Yes, playoff success wasn't there. I understand that. But Andy Reid had made the Super Bowl already years past. Pat Mahomes was dropped into the perfect situation with a great play caller, and yes, he elevated Andy Reid to a different level, but Pat Mahomes never, ever, ever gets the chance to be the guy that he is today if it's not for getting dropped into the perfect system with Andy Reid.
Did John Harbaugh make Lamar Jackson?
No.
John Harbaugh won a Super Bowl without Lamar Jackson.
That's a defensive head coach, though. Special teams
He's a special
coordinator,
teams
to
head
be
coach.
specific, yes.
Okay,
but
so
that's
did Greg Roman make Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson was dropped into a perfect system that was a run-heavy scheme. Yes, so yeah, both make each other. Absolutely.
But the argument is, did Patrick Mahomes need Andy Reid more than Andy Reid needed Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
And the argument for that and the statement for that is no, because Andy Reid before Patrick Mahomes was a fired coach from Philly,
elevated
who lost
multiple quarterbacks to
elevated
MVP level.
Donovan McNabb was a great quarterback in his own right. That is a fact. Michael Vick was a great quarterback.
Great
and
is
they had
pushing
great,
it.
And they had great offenses around him with LaShawn McCoy,
He turned him
Deshaun
into an elite
Jackson,
passer
and
at the time.
Jeremy Maclin.
Never
but he was
that.
always a big play quarterback, especially in that time. And then in Kansas City,
What was Alex
Smith played well, but in the big moments, he didn't. And that's why they consistently lost in the playoffs. That's why Andy Reid before Mahomes had a losing record in the playoffs. Andy Reid making Patrick Mahomes have the intangibles to win. The fourth quarter clutchness, the calmness in the pocket to evade sacks, the accuracy down the field, the playmaking ability. That is Patrick Mahomes. And it wasn't until Andy Reid got a quarterback that can do all those things that he finally was elevated in his legacy. It's like if a quarterback were to get dropped into Kyle Shanahan's system right now and Kyle Shanahan won Super Bowls, would you be saying that Kyle Shanahan made that quarterback, or would you be talking about that quarterback himself?
No, we're probably going to be saying Kyle Shanahan made the quarterback because every quarterback that has been in the Kyle Shanahan system has had their best season. Jimmy Garoppolo is not who he was. Mac Jones literally looked at as a bum, forgotten about, was not going to have an NFL career if it wasn't for
and
Kyle
there's a
Shanahan.
ceiling with that. And we've seen the ceiling with that.
But that's
is
the
not
same
winning
thing
and getting
with
over
the
the hump.
ceiling with Andy Reid and the quarterbacks that he
What I'm
had.
saying is that Kyle Shanahan has been held back and not viewed as a better coach all time wise, and his legacy hasn't reflect that because he hasn't had those quarterbacks.
But he made Super Bowls with, regardless we look at it, he made Super Bowls with Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo.
And he's also known as a choker because he's blown multiple leads. We're talking about the Super Bowl against Brady when he was the offense coordinator. We're talking about with the 49ers, both times. They were up by 10 against the Chiefs in 2019 and 2023. If you pop in a quarterback that is great, that is above a game manager level to Kyle Shanahan, it would elevate his legacy. And that's what Mahomes has done for Andy Reid. He's elevated his legacy more so than any quarterback that he's previously worked with could have done. And that's why Andy Reid needed Mahomes more, because now he's viewed as one of the very best coaches of all time, and that wasn't the case before Mahomes.
You are neglecting to prove the point of Mahomes was not looked at as a great quarterback prospect.
He had
coming
700 yards in a college football
against
game
Oklahoma.
and 7 touchdowns.
They did not play defense in that conference.
It's 700
they
yards.
didn't play defense in that conference.
He was still a first-round pick.
Oh, my God.
It's 700 yards.
He was a first-round pick, yes, with raw talent. If he goes to the fucking New York Jets, he's the worst quarterback to ever live.
No, that's insane. You take that back right now. You take that back right now.
Andy Reid without Patrick Mahomes. Yes, Patrick Mahomes has absolutely elevated him to be able to have this rivaling Belichick sort of career where he's winning all these Super Bowls. That's awesome. If he never gets Patrick Mahomes, if he gets another quarterback who's, I don't know, just a little bit better than Alex Smith, or even just keeps a guy like Alex Smith, I think he probably stumbles into 1, maybe 2 Super Bowls in this time frame. Patrick Mahomes, as we've seen with so many of these quarterback prospects, if he doesn't get put into the right system, he might not be a very good quarterback. He at least might not be in this elite tier of guys. We've seen that, especially this year with guys like Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, highly drafted quarterbacks that finally get put into the right system, but when they were in bad systems, they did not exist. So I just think Andy Reid could have survived, basically. He could have found a different quarterback. He could have still had a good career. Patrick Mahomes, if he doesn't get put into this great system, God only knows what's going to happen. He might end up being, floundering around like a Baker Mayfield did with the Browns and then having to catch on with some other team somewhere. I just don't think it's that, cut and dry that Mahomes was really, going to be this guy the whole time.
Well, I think that Mahomes was going to be a great quarterback regardless of what situation he landed in. And I think there's often dishonesty in this debate because whenever we talk about Mahomes in the situation he was drafted in, we want to then put him in the worst possible situation ever and then give Andy Reid the best possible outcome ever and say, hey, he could do it with this guy. If Andy Reid drafted Mitch Trubisky instead, would he still be employed by the Kansas City Chiefs? I have a hard time believing that that would be the case. If Patrick Mahomes didn't land with Andy Reid, but if he landed with a head coach that wanted to trade up for him, like Sean Payton with the Saints, would he probably have won a Super Bowl with the Saints? I think so. He probably would have been the successor to Drew Brees and had those accomplishments. I just think that when we diminish Patrick Mahomes by saying that Andy Reid made him and he's more of the system, I think you have to say that for all the other all-time great quarterbacks. And in the reality, we have seen Mahomes too far and away in the fourth quarter, in third down situations, and got to have situations when the play call breaks down, he's the one that's able to make it happen even after things have broken down. And that's why I think Andy Reid has needed him more, because it's elevated Andy Reid's legacy to a point that we didn't look at it before Mahomes got there.
No, and Mahomes is awesome, and I'm not here to deny that fact. And absolutely, if he, we're talking about the bottom barrel outcome of going to a team like the Jets and the Browns, yes, he could definitely end up in more of a mid-level sort of situation like most quarterbacks do. Most quarterbacks don't experience the high of highs or low of lows. I just think Andy Reid, no matter what, is still going to be a very high-end coach in this league. Like, he was doing it well with Alex Smith. He did it well with Donovan McNabb for a while. Yes, he needed Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl level. I don't know that Mahomes, if he goes to, I don't know, find the 15th, 16th, 17th best head coach in the league, just pure mid, pure isolated mid. I don't know that we're putting him on this pedestal with what guys like Lamar and Josh Allen and Burrow are doing right now, because he would be held back a little bit more by those guys. So they both, obviously, there's synergy here, right? They work off each other. They both need each other. It's very much the Brady and Belichick thing that, as a Patriots fan, I had to defend for the longest time, that they were both incredibly instrumental to the dynasty, and it doesn't happen without both of them. But I just think that Andy Reid has a better chance of at least thriving to some degree in the league than Mahomes with a more average coach.
And I think that Mahomes as well in other situations would have been a great quarterback. And I think a great comparison to this is Matthew Stafford, who's ultra talented, who with the Lions, we never denied his individual greatness and talent. We often looked at the situation for being the crux of why he was held back from a team success standpoint. Maybe Mahomes doesn't have the team success, but as an individual, he still would have been great. And just like it took Stafford going to the Rams and finally winning to prove himself, I think that Mahomes would have still been an individually great player. There's no doubt that Andy Reid is an individual great coach, much like other coaches around the league are individually great coaches as well. I just believe that in order for him to go from what you said, a high-end coach, to legendary coach status, he needed Patrick Mahomes.